Hey everybody, welcome to another webinar with Meridian. I'm Chris Gilder, founder CEO here at Meridian. We also have Paul Burden, our director of software. We have Melissa running this for us again, Dominic, who's part of our conceptual design engineering team, and we'll get going. So I hope everyone's staying safe out there in this crazy environment that we're all living in right now. And we will jump right into it. The questions tend to take quite a while, so we'll breeze through this pretty quickly. So a little bit about Meridian. We were founded in '99, self-service manufacturer, a lot of different accounts, a lot of different clients, a lot of different high-profile deployments that we've done over the years. We do all of our manufacturing design out of our Aberdeen facility in North Carolina. We do all of our software engineering run by Paul Bird and his team out of Mississauga, Canada. We have about 13 acres here in Aberdeen, full metal fabrication on site, powder coat on site. We are ISO 9001:2015 certified. We are a UL self-certify facility. Obviously, a lot of expertise around ADA, FCC, etc. And as I mentioned, all the software capabilities that we have out of Mississauga. Next slide. So jumping right into the PMK unit. So this is a product that we're continuing to develop and a product suite around this. So Android-based PMK solution designed, obviously the initial design process was to be able to take quick, accurate temperature readings for people entering our facility, other facilities, as well as doing facial recognition. So we can register our employees, put them in the system. We can register guests and put them in the system, or we can just use this as purely a temperature check-in device. There are alarms that can be set. Standard, I think, is 99.3 or maybe it's 100.3. Obviously, that can be changed to your needs. Anodized aluminum finish also available in the powder coat finish. And we do have pedestal and countertop configurations. The pedestal is currently the only one shipping, but the countertop configuration will be available shortly, and we'll get that skewed up with all of our partners and resellers hopefully this week. Next slide. So this is a unit currently shipping. Kind of building these as fast as we can and getting them out as fast as we can. So the pedestal comes ready to go. Out of the box, basically 110 plug it in, it will start up in the application. You can start taking temperatures immediately. You can obviously register your employees into the system if you want to use the facial recognition feature. The graphics, again, we do have a graphics department in-house. We're not currently shipping with graphics, just with the sheer volume and numbers that we're shipping. We don't want to slow that process down. We do have a large partner that is available for applying graphics all over North America, and we will post that information soon on the product page. Next slide. The countertop unit, as I mentioned, that should be released this week. We've had this unit ready for a while, but again, keeping it simple with the one SKU, and we were waiting to finalize our battery to see if the battery array would fit in this without having to make it too tall. We're not 100% sure whether it will or not with a adequate runtime. So the countertop may be 110 outlet only. So also available to have a graphic on there through our graphic partner. Next slide. So the software piece is kind of where obviously we see tremendous benefit here. We will be currently out of the box standalone unit as it sits today, Android based as we mentioned. You can connect this to your network via Wi-Fi or LAN. It is FCC certified, 0.5C, 0.9F temperature variance. We're seeing much more accurate than that. In fact, we had some large client of ours visit the showroom today. We do have a controlled environment in our showroom available to view some units. They were quite impressed. They brought some of their own test equipment with them, and we were getting much better accuracy than we published, but we want to keep it there. Ability to recognize up to 30,000 faces in the database, so you can again enter your employees in there, snap a picture, put in their name, put in their ID number if they have one, a couple of other options that you have there. And it will do facial recognition while wearing the mask as well. Not as accurate as you can imagine wearing a mask, but it does a surprisingly good job. And it can also prompt people to put their mask on if they're not wearing one, if you toggle that feature on as well. And obviously voice prompts as mentioned here to get people through the application. Next slide. So this is a board level solution, so it's a separate screen and board. Board was designed for this purpose only to integrate with the with our infrared temperature sensor, which is out of Germany, and our camera. We do have some expandability built into the board that we're not currently utilizing. That may be for future releases of this product. Here's the temperature page here in the admin feature in the application. So you can toggle that on or off if you just wanted to use it for facial recognition. You can set the temperature variance in here for doing some simple calibration if needed. You can set the alarm threshold. Also in here, you can, I believe now, change it to C or F. We should probably update that picture, and turn the mask detection on or off and stranger mode on or off, which would allow someone that is a stranger to just simply have their temperature checked and allowed into the facility. So next page. So this is where you see the facial recognition portion. You see some of our employees in here, and you can obviously delete these. You can enter new employees in here or guests. You can put an expiration date on there. So for instance, we had some people in here working on some of our sheet metal fabrication equipment last week. So we set them up with a temporary pass, and so they use the device every morning. It logged them in, logged them out, and obviously logged in, you know, who they were, and that expires after 3 days. So if they tried to check in after it expired, it would not give them access. So next page. So M0 Manage, this is what we utilize to manage all of our self-service deployments, thousands of units out there in the field. This was an acquisition we did in 2009, 2010. Paul and his team obviously were working at King Products and Solutions. We did the acquisition really for the software piece and obviously the software talent that came along with that, and moved all the manufacturing down to North Carolina. So this enables you to have lots of different reporting metrics. You can manage all the units in whatever location they're in. You can group them accordingly, country, state, building, however you want to group them. We'll keep your network updated. So if there's a new update to the units, you can remotely deploy them, and obviously provides a lot of security and enables you to take this data, encrypted data, and report from it as you see fit. We'll also send alerts out. So if a system is down, you can set custom alerts to go to an email group, or a text, and that's very flexible as well. And you can even include instructions on what to do if that alert is received by you. And so this we're developing for the kiosks, the PMKs. This will be a slimmed down version of this. Obviously, these have limited functionality, so we don't need all of the tools that this has to offer. So Paul and the team are diligently working on that. The release date is set for, and we hope to keep the 29th of this month for the initial release. And then obviously we'll have updates and subsequent releases as we add more functionality to the units. And we are developing a Windows-based version of this as well, which will have a lot more flexibility and also tie into the same management portal that you see here. Next slide. All right, so we'll jump right into it. So Melissa, you want to kick it off with the questions?
Sounds good. So the first question is regarding the ability to have email notifications of high temperatures. They want to know if that's possible.
It will be. So on the 29th, when we release M0 Manage, that will be something that we could tie into the system, pull the data out of the system. We may have to make an update to the application on the device as well, which we're always making updates, and we'll look at the roadmap to see where that is, but that is a feature that will be available, yes.
Next question wants to know which ports, IPs, or protocols this device uses.
I'll answer that one. It's Paul Burden. So it will use port 443. It'll create an outbound connection, and it will connect to personnel.meridiankiosks.com as a client. So the kiosk will reach out as a client over 443, and the protocol is WebSockets.
The next question asks for the lead time for a temperature verification kiosk with badge technology.
Good question. We're getting that one a lot. It is on the roadmap. Paul, I don't know if we have, if we've got a date on that, and I'm assuming badge technology, I'm assuming they're talking about printing a badge out. That's on the roadmap. Or if they're talking about an employee badge, like a contactless badge, that's early on in the roadmap, and that will be available. In fact, I think we have that. We've built that into the system. We even built room for the reader. So that's something that will be early on, I would say in the probably June timeframe.
The next question asks if this device can accommodate a 10-inch tablet.
No, it's specifically designed around it's an 8-inch screen, and it's a custom built board for this, so it's not a tablet, but it's all proprietary for this specific application.
The next question asks if the kiosk can be used for temperature checks only without facial recognition.
Yeah, so that'll be one of the first things that we add. We have a couple of very large clients looking to do just temperature readings. So right now you can use it as a temperature. It does not do facial recognition in that mode, but it still captures the image of the person. So if you want to turn that off, that will be a feature that we'll be adding soon, but you can use it right out of the box as a temperature checking only device.
The next question asks if you can load pictures into the facial recognition software or if you have to take a picture at the device.
So you currently enroll at the device, so it takes the picture, you enter the information. It's a very quick process, but as a standalone unit, that's the way it's designed to be done. Once the M0 Manage piece is in place later this month, then you will be able to do all that remotely. And so obviously a lot more functionality and flexibility when the M0 Manage is in play.
The next question asks what type of processor we are using.
Gosh, that's a good question, Paul. Do you know what processor we have in there?
Yeah, there's a processor code that's it. We have. I don't have that handy. I haven't memorized it, but we'll follow up.
Sure. We have the spec sheet available on that. So in fact, it was on the deck, and we pulled it out just so we can get to questions faster. But you could certainly request that through an email, and we will we'll get that information to you.
If you send that question to me, I'll follow up in the chat.
Okay, I'll send it to you, Paul.
Thanks.
The next question asks if notifications can be sent to a predetermined email. If so, what information will be included?
So as I mentioned earlier, once M0 Manage is in play, absolutely you can, and you can include whatever information you want. So you can create those reports, you can create those alerts. There'll be some standard ones that are available. You can customize your own very, very easily. So it could be an alert just on, registrations, facial recognition, people that are not allowed in for one reason or another, i.e. they're not recognized in the database or the temperature's too high, as well as alerts if the system is not responding, i.e. the network's down or the system's unplugged.
The next question asks if we will have integration capability with Genetec security and Envoy visitor management.
Yes, so another great question. We've got, so the plan is to develop out all of our APIs that will allow for integration really into any other system. So we see the need for the flexibility for this to tie into many, many different other platforms and systems. So that will be something that we will be able to do, yes.
Next question is about privacy and security of the user. Is the data going to be uploaded to the cloud?
Well, no, not currently. It's just on the device itself, and that can be easily deleted from the device if required. And then we will be having an option to disable data collection. So again, if you're just wanting to use it for temperature check and not capture images or any data, there will be a functionality update to the application for that. When it's connected to M0 Manage, again, that information does go to the M0 Manage suite, and that is obviously encrypted, and again can be deleted, and again that's something that can be turned off if it's not required.
Next question asks, who manufactures the thermal sensor?
It's a German manufacturer. Paul, have you got that? And again, that was on the spec on the deck. We can come back to that one, Melissa, but it's
Sure.
company we've used in the past out of Germany that makes the sensor. I don't have the name handy.
Next question asks if there is a charge for the software or the web portal.
Yeah, so now obviously it's included, the standalone application on the device included with the purchase of the unit. The cloud-based M0 subscription is $295 per unit per year, and that's quantity one MSRP. So obviously that price does go down with volume. We do have some clients with significant volume and paying obviously a lot less than that per unit. We also have an on-premise option as well for people that can't host it outside of their network, and that also reduces the cost per unit per year.
Next question asks, what is the current lead time?
Current lead time is 4 weeks. We were 2 to 3. The demand just absolutely, I think, caught everyone off guard. So it's currently 4 weeks. We are working to bring that in. Our current capacity is about 500 a day. We're looking to up that to 1,000 a day in the next 2 weeks. And obviously that also, we're relying on logistical partners, DHL, UPS, etc., to get the parts into us. And obviously with all the, the PPE equipment coming in, flights are delayed. So we're saying 4 weeks, but hopefully we can bring it in from there.
Next question asks if this is HIPAA certified.
No, it's not as an individual item. Obviously, that's something that you would need to take into consideration and talk to your own HR team or your own consultants of what data you can and can't store. We are talking to quite a few organizations around that right now, but again, that is based on the individual, company's policies, and they would be responsible for ensuring that they're doing what they should be doing with the data collected.
The next question asks where the Personnel Management Kiosk is manufactured.
Final manufacturing is all done in North Carolina. We have parts out of Germany, we have parts out of China, and then obviously all the sheet metal fabrication and other parts out of the US. Final assembly and testing, etc., is all done in our plant in North Carolina.
The next question asks, will the temperature be able to be viewed on a separate client?
Yes, so again, once we have the M0 Manage piece in there, the temperatures can be checked. Paul, I don't know if maybe that's pointing to more of a live portal or maybe even a live extension of the screen. So I don't know how quick that data, I know it's obviously live, but how quick it transfers. But there are relays and wide connections to tie this into additional equipment. So lights, gates, other things that could be used to alert someone if they're denied access for one reason or another.
Next question asks if Meridian offers training to customers.
We do. So in fact, what we're doing, we were asked that earlier today, And so there are some paid options. Obviously, our team is here to educate people as we're doing with these and many other calls and webinars with our partners doing webinars. It's a very simple device. Obviously, it's limited in its functionality by design. We are creating actually a knowledge base and training site for this. So our customers will have access to that. It will have videos on how to do anything and everything with the device. We'll be doing a customer portal where there'll be a forum where they can submit questions, and other customers. I mean, we've got a lot of customers volunteering to show people, train people. We've got hospitals inviting people to come in and see the units. We've got power companies offering to do the same thing. So we got a lot of good referrals out there and people that will actually let you come in and see it, obviously in a controlled environment right now. And just as we had some clients in today looking at the device in the showroom. So yes, we'll be providing all that materials and trying to do as much of that virtually as we can, just because literally thousands and thousands of orders are coming in and it's impossible to talk to everyone individually at the moment. So that will be a training portal with everything you will need.
The next question asks about installation. Do you simply unbox, plug in, and you're ready to go?
You do. In fact, we demonstrated that today to a client asking the same question because they're deploying a lot of these. So obviously that can be a pretty significant cost, but it does plug it in and it works. So you plug it in, you can take temperatures immediately. Obviously you'll want to log in to the device if you want to register employees or people in the facial recognition database. But right out of the box, this is probably the most plug and play unit we've ever produced.
The next question asks, where is the data stored for the managed service? Pictures, temperatures, etc.
That is stored in an encrypted database in our cloud hosting facility, which is an SOC, SOC1, SOC2 compliant hosting center on encrypted volumes as well as encrypted database. So it's encryption at rest. And it's hosted and maintained and managed by Meridian. So only employees of Meridian would have access to the servers for the purpose of maintenance, updates, upgrades, etc. But your data is protected in the database. You can also host an on-premise option, as Chris mentioned earlier. In that case, you can self-host, and we can have more discussions on that if you're interested.
Okay.
The next question asks, how do we purchase this product? Direct through you or through distribution?
Well, it depends how. If you're an HB client or a CDW, there's a lot of people out there that have this available, and so certainly ordering through the channel. We have a client base, obviously, that can purchase direct. Some of the strongest pricing, though, I think, is in the channel through those partners.
The next question asks, can you print out a daily report of all temperatures taken?
Yeah, so you can, even as the standalone device, you can certainly do that when you have it on M0, because you'll be basically monitoring that from your desk and can print out any report or email any report you want. From the device, you can also get that report, but you would need to transfer that to a thumb drive. There is a USB available on the device, and you could do it that way. Paul, I don't know with the standalone device, if it's connected, is there any other way of taking that database, or just the thumb drive?
Yeah, there's a thumb drive you can attach to it. I guess with a CF card to USB, you could attach it and transfer or export the entry records.
Okay.
I believe it saves as a CSV file, if I'm not mistaken, and you'd be able to print that, but you'd have to collect them manually from each device, unless you have M0 manage.
Correct. Okay. Thanks.
The next question asks, if this is an ONVIF camera?
Good question. I don't know. I mean, it will recognize the image day or night, so it can be completely dark and it will recognize, do the facial recognition. So I'm not sure exactly. I'd need one of our hardware engineers to answer that question. Unfortunately, we don't have one on this call. But we can post the, and again, we took it off the slide that information was on there. So we can post the specs. In fact, on our product page, there's a lot of details on the different specifications.
The next question asks if the product roadmap includes access control system integrations.
Yeah, that's already in place. So the relays and the IO already on the device allows integration to your locks, turnstiles, gates, etc. already. And then on the back end with our APIs, we'll be doing that into the security-based software systems as well.
Next question asks, is facial recognition managed only locally within the panel, or can this be remotely managed as well?
Paul, you want to grab
that? Yeah, that is managed in the device. So you would have an employee database if it's local. If you've connected this with M0 Manage, you can centralize the database and upload the photos in bulk, manage the photos, and they automatically get distributed to your devices. So if you have more than one entry point or more than one devices, any changes you make to the central employee database will propagate across to all the units at the same time.
The next question is about support. Do you deploy resources on site to repair? What is the standard warranty?
Standard warranty is return to depot. So return to us, we'll repair or replace and send back to you. And then there's everything up from there. So all the way up to 4-hour response time for an on-site technician, parts pools. A lot of things can be written up in an SLA. And really depending on the end user, where they're going, we can tailor one to suit. So a lot of our partners have those packs, support packs available. We do as well, from 24/7 phone support, like I say, the parts pool depots around the country for 4-hour or next day repair or replacement response.
Next question asks if this unit will be able to tie into building access systems to unlock doors.
Yeah, so I touched on that earlier. We already can do that. So with the relays in there, you can trigger turnstiles, door mechanisms now. As long as obviously the person passes the criteria on the device, it will trigger a door lock, well, door lock light, several different things. There's a lot of IO. The information is on the product page. And then again, with the back end APIs, you'll be able to tie into the software systems as well. So yes, it will.
Next question asks, is there any support for using a black body reference to enhance precision?
Paul, I believe a lot of that is already in place. So we have some algorithms developed specifically for the camera and the thermal sensor that we're using. So Paul, you got any input there?
I think black body means something specific. So we'll have to probably look up what that means to see how it relates to this particular solution. But I believe it has to do with the light spectrum.
Okay, yeah, we need one of our hardware engineers to answer that, but we can certainly take that and get that posted on the FAQ page.
Well, I can just speak to that a little bit. I know a lot of other competitors use something like that. It is, I believe, some kind of radiation emitter that keeps a constant temperature. And so far, we found our device to be working pretty accurately. Without a black body device, I think we might look into it in the future, but right now it works pretty well.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
Next question asks, is power over Ethernet going to be an option?
Good question. Possibly, not for this one, but it is possibly an option in the future, yes. And I know there are some power over Ethernet adapters that a client I know is using. So they're actually using power over Ethernet to an adapter to actually powering the unit. So while that's not true power over Ethernet built into the device, there are some devices that will allow you to do that today.
The next question asks, would it be possible for the result only to show pass or fail instead of the actual temperature?
Possibly, not out of the box. So that's something that we could develop. And obviously right now we're shipping really one unit with the features that we're talking about. We do have some requests which we're changing for some clients with obviously some very large volume. So that could be tweaked, that could be changed, that could be put on the roadmap. I don't think it's currently on the roadmap, but that is something that possibly could be added again as instead of showing the temperature, it just shows pass fail.
The next question asks, are there relay outputs we can use?
Yes, there are.
The next question asks if you will be able to load staff data from a CSV file.
Yeah, Paul, can you import data? You still need the...
Yeah, there will be a means in the first launch at the end of the month to import. So it would be a CSV file or flat file that you import. Separately, you can import the employee photos. So it would be a zip file of images. They just have to match the employee ID, the record number of the original flat file input. And then that will enable you to do a bulk or mass import.
The next question asks, how many times per day can a person get a temperature reading?
There's no limit to that. So our folks here on site in Aberdeen scan at least 3 times a day. So when they first come in, when they return from lunch, and actually 4 times. So when they return from each break. So we have at least 4 times a day that they're scanning in, and our system is logging that information as well. But there's no limit to how many times they could scan.
Next question asks, will there be an integration with ERP such as Kronos?
Yes. So again, the APIs will allow us to quickly integrate or even have a lot of our software partners do the integration for these things, because we're getting asked to integrate into literally hundreds of different systems. So short answer to that is yes.
The next question asks the estimated cost for the freestanding and the countertop models.
The freestanding model retail is $31.50, I believe. I would estimate the countertop model would be probably $200 less than that. I think that's an estimate because we haven't released it yet. But that's the standard MSRP quantity 1 price.
Next question asks, are you able to output to another monitor for larger viewing?
No, we do have additional monitor outs on the board, but we haven't built that into the enclosure. But we are working on a messaging system to go with this. And then as we go to the Windows version, then that will have many screen size options. It won't really be limited to one size screen.
The next question asks, is there a way to have a welcome message prior to someone stepping up to the kiosk?
Currently, Paul, the screen, there's no real attract screen feature in this. I know that's something we're talking about developing and bringing into the system, because obviously we've had quite a few people ask for that. Currently, obviously that can be done with signage, with the graphics on the unit. But Paul, do we have, I think that's an early thing on the roadmap, isn't it, for the next release of the application?
Yeah, that's correct, but I don't have an exact time frame on that, but it's probably release 2, so immediately subsequent to the managed release in the end of this month.
Okay, perfect.
Next question asks, is M0 Manage needed to send a notification?
Yes. So in order for it to send a notification out, M0 Manage is actually what sends that notification out or that text message out. We may add some functionality to further functionality to the device at a later date, but right now M0 Manage is required, yes.
Next question asks, does it interface with HRIS systems?
Paul, you want to take that one? I believe that's
Integration with HR systems, is that what I heard?
I think
HRIS.
HRIS. I'm not familiar with that that acronym.
we can come back
Human
to that.
Resource Management System, I assume. Yeah, I mean, it's the same similar answer to the one Chris gave. Does it integrate with any system? It does with the APIs we'll be making available. And it then becomes possible to interconnect systems like human resource management systems into this system. So through those APIs, you may need your developer team to use the APIs to connect the systems together, or Meridian can perform that for you as a service, or one of our integration partners, as Chris mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so sorry, I didn't recognize that acronym either, but yes, we will be tying into a lot of different HR systems and have a couple that we're actually working with right now that want to deploy the solution, but also provide it to their clients.
The next question asks, what data is collected and where is it kept?
Currently, it's collected on the device, and it will do a timestamp of the scan. It will capture a photograph, their temperature, and their employee ID if that's been entered into the system. If it's not, if there's no data been entered to register people, it will do a timestamp, temperature, and a photograph.
The next question asks how close someone needs to stand to the screen for their temperature to be checked.
It's pretty flexible. Between 1 and 3 feet is fine. You can actually get your face right up against it if you wanted to, but there is a silhouette on the screen just to kind of give you a guide. It's not an exact guide. It does a good job of reading it if you're closer than that or further away. And it will prompt you to get closer to the device. It senses that you're there, and it will prompt you to get closer to the device if you're too far away.
The next question asks if anyone from the Meridian team is available for one-on-one calls with clients.
Yeah, so we're doing that day in, day out. We have additional resources for that. We are doing the webinars, obviously, to try and answer as many questions to as many people as we possibly can. We are building out the training portal, as I mentioned, where all this information resides. A lot of our partners obviously have been getting educated on this very quickly and are able to support clients to a point. But we're always happy to make time if we can in our schedule to have one-on-one conversations.
The next question asks, is there a time or date stamp?
Yes.
The next question asks, does M0 Manage require an annual subscription fee, or is the system a one-time cost?
No, well, the system, the standalone system is a one-time cost, and then there'll be updates available as we provide new features, which would be a charge if you wanted to update. Obviously, keep the legacy system, but yes, M0 Manage, as I mentioned before, has again, retail quantity one is $295 per year per device.
Next question asks, how long does it take to take a temperature reading?
2 to 3 seconds. That's temperature and facial recognition if you're choosing to do so.
Next question asks, can schedules be assigned to users? For example, person A is allowed on week 1, but not on week 2.
No, currently you can just do time limits. So like I said, we had some people working on some of our equipment, doing some service work, and we had them here for 3 days. So we set their image in there for 3 days, and after that, it wouldn't allow them access. But currently, and again, that could be something that we add on the roadmap, but that could be something that we add later, but currently no.
Next question asks, for the new features like M0 Manage, when they come out, can they be added to units that are already in the field?
Yes, so good question, and yes, they can. So the units are ready now to connect to M0 Manage. So this will be a small, obviously you'll need to connect them to your Wi-Fi or your LAN for internet connectivity, and then you'll be able to put in the information and connect them to the server.
The next question asks, how quickly does the unit reset after a temperature reading?
Oh
So
gosh, it's
between
almost instantaneous. So it's about 2 to 3 seconds per person, and I mean, obviously you don't want people super close together, but there's a video that we have online of kind of some of our guys all, you know, coming one after another. So it sets very, very quickly.
The next
Less
question
than a second.
asks,
Sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Next question asks, how accurate is the temperature reading? What is the deviation range?
So as we mentioned earlier in the slide deck, it's 0.5C, 0.9F is what we advertise. We're seeing much better accuracy than that. We've got hospital clients that have been testing this and measuring this for us. We had clients in here today with their own equipment, and they were seeing a 0.1, 0.2, and again, they said assuming that their equipment is more accurate than ours. So the advertised is 0.5C. 0.9F.
Next question asks, what is included with the personnel management kiosk? What else would we need to set up the kiosk?
Nothing. All you need is an outlet, and then we will have the battery option soon, but it is literally ready to plug in right out of the box.
Next question asks, are there plans to add wheels to the kiosk to make it more mobile? What is the weight of the stand?
The whole thing's only about 35 pounds or so, maybe even a little lighter. Yes, we will have caster options in the future, and that we have a lot of casters on self-service devices that we build today. But again, we just wanted to limit this to one SKU right now with the sheer volume that we're doing. But yes, that would be an option, but it is very easy to move. If you have a hand truck, super, super easy, but it's only about 35 pounds in weight anyway.
Next question asks if the system has the ability to count guests as they enter and leave the facility.
Good question. I mean, I guess it's counting them through the data that it's collecting, but there's no counter that's visible. I'm sure you could tie this into an external system once Manage is available to do a count if you wanted to, yeah.
The next question asks if the unit needs to be calibrated.
It's calibrated when it leaves here, so for 95% of deployments, it'll be fine right out of the box. There is a calibration feature, so if you're in a unstable environment, very hot, very cold environment, you can calibrate in the settings in the admin screen, and then you would need, we do have some calibration devices that are used for calibrating this type of equipment that has got a constant steady temperature you put in front, and you'll calibrate it to that temperature. But for most deployments, at least all the deployments we've seen so far, right out of the box, they work well.
The next question asks, is the current version without M0 Manage currently available?
Yes, it is.
The next question asks, is support on site or would techs go on site to repair?
Yeah, I think we already answered that earlier, but yes, we can do both standard return to depot warranty, and then we can do on-site SLA agreements, or you could just do time and material. So if you wanted an on-site repair, on-site replacement, you could just do time and material as well.
The next question asks when a battery option will be available.
So the battery's been designed, it's going through UL testing. Lithium battery, so we definitely want to have that UL certified. We're actually going through UL certification for the whole device as well. I mean, literally as fast as UL can move, and they have quite a bit of stuff going on, for us at the moment as well. So I don't know the answer to that, but I'm hoping it's weeks, not months. But you can use an external lithium battery that's available out there today. We tested one for a client that they wanted to use. We got about 16 hours of runtime from it, and it was something that they just bought online that worked well for this.
The next question asks, what locations can customers demo?
Gosh, we've got quite a few. We can do that here. We have some hospitals that can do that. We have some power companies that will. We have some of our resellers that will do that. We have some partners in the service support deployment groups that will do that as well. So just email in with a request and we'll see if there's anything close to you. We have a lot obviously close to us, as before we really kind of launched this to the marketplace. We did a lot of testing and local deployments with this, so they've been out there quite a while. Many of those are available as a reference already. All of those are ordering more units as well. So just send an email in and we'll try and find someone that's close.
The next question asks, is remote service an option in the event that there is a system failure?
Yeah, there's limited, even once we have M0 Manage on here, obviously you'll know if something's wrong, whether it's not responding network or power outage, etc. We don't have remote access, meaning we can't remote into the unit. A couple of different reasons for that. We're not going to dig into them all right now, but obviously privacy is one, especially with having data, potentially sensitive data in there for employees, faces, etc. And there's limited things that you would do in the field with this device. Again, it's a very robust device, so switching it out obviously is very, very easy to do. But there's nothing that we can really do remotely from a software perspective. And again, it being an Android device, you can unplug it and plug it back in, essentially reboots the system, won't harm it, and could solve a lot of problems that way.
The next question asks, what is the feedback from current clients using the device, and are references available?
Yes, references are available, as I mentioned, incredibly positive. I mean, we wouldn't have moved forward with this device if we didn't get anything but, can I get more? How many can I get? This is great. There's I think a newspaper article just came out in our town about this. Again, with all positive reviews, the local hospital is wanting more units, and obviously we're trying to fulfill orders as quickly as we can, but overwhelmingly positive. I think the only negative comment in our initial release was we'd made the stand a little too high, and I think we brought that down about 6 inches for the production units. But yes, incredibly positive.
The next question asks, are there any ties into Active Directory?
Paul, I'll let you grab this one.
No, but we anticipate that you'll be able to quickly connect it through our APIs. But there are probably some target integrations that we would likely include very shortly in the roadmap, and I believe Active Directory would be one very likely to be included, as that'd be a common integration requirement.
The next question asks, what is the margin of error in temperatures taken?
0.5 and 0.9. 0.5 C and 0.9 F.
Let's see. The next question asks if these slides will be shared and a recording will be sent out to all attendees 2 hours after the webinar. The next question asks, will there be a code to removing information onto a thumb drive, or would anyone be able to pull information if they plugged in a thumb drive?
No, so you have to have the administrative password to get into the application or into the device itself. So if someone unplugs it, and the USB is inside the unit as well. So you would need to have that password to get to that information.
Next question asks, how are you integrating with telehealth?
So again, to the earlier point with the APIs, there'll be a lot of things that we can do once we have the M0 Manage backend. We do a lot of healthcare solutions right now with many partners. This obviously could be potentially tied into a telehealth solution. It's not a standalone telehealth solution right now, but certainly could be used in conjunction with that. And then our Windows version of this is something that could potentially be added to existing telehealth solutions.
The next question asks if these are for outdoor use or indoor use only.
Yeah, indoor use only. We do have some people using them temporarily outdoors, but it is designed as an indoor only device, and they use them outdoor fully covered and only for checking people in, and then they move them indoors because direct sunlight will affect the units. Rapidly changing temperatures is not an ideal place to take temperature reading, a contactless temperature reading with any device.
The next question asks if the unit wakes up when someone approaches it, or do you need to touch it?
No, it's non-touch, and it does wake up when approached. I think once someone gets within 5 or 6 feet, it wakes up and it will prompt them to get closer if they're too far away.
The next question asks, can we add our company logo to the kiosk?
Yeah, so the graphics, as I mentioned earlier, we have a graphics partner that will be deploying graphics or able to deploy graphics throughout North America. Again, we do have a graphic department in-house. We're not offering that right now. Again, just for the sheer volume running through here, getting the files, making sure they're good, going back and forth with art approvals, just slows down this initial shipping process. So we'll post details on our product page about that. And then, as we mentioned earlier, the attract screen in the next release of the Android app will look to make customizable.
Next question asks if the Windows version will replace the Android version.
No, it'll be alongside.
The next question asks, can you ride on existing state contracts?
We're on quite a few, so we provide lots of states with self-service technology, so not 100% sure. Just email in with details and I'll get you to the right department at Meridian.
The next question asks, is there a power backup if there is a power outage?
No, so you would need to add a UPS if you want that functionality. Obviously the battery edition will provide that, but as of out of the box, no, there's no battery involved.
Next question asks if the units are able to adjust in height. If not, what is the general height range for accuracy?
It's good because the head unit will pivot up or down, and obviously you have to manually move that, but we've successfully scanned people in a wheelchair up to, I think the tallest person in our facility is about 6'5". So that's why we went to the 50-inch stand, because you're able to scan a multitude of heights.
The next question asks, does it work when individuals are wearing eyeglasses, have facial hair, no facial hair, hats, etc.?
Yeah, so the initial registration is always best with obviously none of that on. Obviously not asking someone to shave before they take their photo, but it does, and it also will recognize people from the facial recognition perspective wearing a mask. Does actually an amazing job at that. Not as accurate, obviously, as without a mask, but it will recognize people wearing eyeglasses, etc.
The next question asks, how long are local reports stored on the device?
So it's not really a time thing. So there's a gigabyte of memory on there for the report, so which can take a huge amount of data, and then the old data just basically rolls off as new data goes over the top. So once you fill up that gigabyte, it then just rolls on. And obviously once it's on the server, you can keep the information for as long as you want.
The next question asks if the device utilizes Wi-Fi.
Yeah, Wi-Fi and LAN.
And probably our last question, we're coming up on the top of the hour. but asks if the color of the stands are customizable.
Not currently. Obviously, through the graphics, that could be an option. Once we get a little bit more settled down from, again, the production is just going wide open right now, so we're painting these in very, very large batches. So switching to different colors, while it is an option, if someone has a large single order that they would like a specific color, then yes, I'm sure we could accommodate that. But we just couldn't do these thousands and thousands of orders, which are ranging from 1 to thousands of units in different colors. It would just slow down production too much. But for larger runs, that's certainly something that we could do.
All right. And we are coming up on 5 o'clock. So there were a couple questions that we didn't get to, but if your question did not get answered, you can email sales@m0.com and we will make sure to get that question answered for you.
All right, Melissa, thanks so much. And thanks to everybody on the webinar. Thanks to the Meridian team. And we'll update our product page as we seem to be doing daily. And really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.